Hey Al, it's Alex here. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how to search for properties in real estate to benefit from financially. If you're looking to buy and rent, buy and sell, whatever you're trying to do, then you usually want properties that are going to appreciate and properties that are easy to sell when you do want to sell them. Most of the time, you're going to want to get properties in developing areas, like if you know a mall is being constructed or worked on, improved, if you know there's a walkway being constructed over a highway that might add value in some way, increase access to people being able to walk to a nearby Walmart, gas station, whatever, that'll just make an area more easily accessible for lower income people or just kids wanting to get around or even get to a park across the highway. Anywhere where there's development is usually a pretty good area to get a property. The value will increase later. So it's kind of like free money. You usually get it for the price that it's going for now. Usually is hasn't it doesn't change much until after the construction actually happens, and then once the additions are there, then the value of the property usually increases over time from that. And as I said, it's pretty much free money for you. Another area to look for properties would be any property. Look for a niche, look for something that you might be looking for that other people maybe aren't looking for. If you know how to fix a particular thing, then maybe you would look for properties that have that particular thing broken, whether it be you have connections with a friend who can fix appliances, or you know how to do tile work and you're just going to fix up some bathrooms, whatever that case may be. Sometimes it's the type of property. I like to take properties that have a small dining room that's part of the kitchen and a large living room, and I split up the large living room into being half living room, half dining room, and then I turn the small dining area that's attached to the kitchen. I usually turn that into a mud room so that people have an area to walk in, take the mud off their shoes. They don't have to worry about stomping their feet off in the house all that much. That's what that area is for. It also makes it a lot classier. You can really dress that room up a bit, put in some cubbies, change the lighting with a bit of a cozier chandelier, something that's not too formal but not too fancy, or not, yeah, not too formal, not too fancy, but still decent with some rounded edges, things like that. So it adds a lot of value to a property by making it seem like a more luxurious property when really it doesn't cost that much just to change some fixtures here or there, or to just do the floor differently so people can see the difference between where the dining room is and where the living room is. You probably would have changed that stuff out over time anyway, so if you hold on to it for a bit, then it increases the value. Also, you can get a lot more rent for it than what people usually get in the area. And like I said, you usually have to fix up that stuff anyway. Adding some trim can be a nice touch as well if you choose properties that are accurately priced, but you decide that you're going to touch up some paint and some trim to make it look classier on the inside. Then you can usually get higher rents than what would normally go in that area, as long as it's not a terrible area, usually a C type area. Fixing a property up into a B type is a good idea. So usually properties fall into types A, B, C, and D. D is just in a bad area, usually the middle of the main city or the capital. Usually C type is where it needs some love. The property needs some work on it. It looks fine for the most part. Looks like it's been lived in, standard family home. B type would be where it looks like someone spruced it up and got it ready to actually be purchased. And then A type is usually higher tier, usually a bit classier, more expensive. Just kind of a big range in the A type area, but they're also not very common for people to be shopping around with. Anyway, so usually you want to get a C type and turn it into a B type, and have it in a neighborhood to where it's not going to be automatically a D type from being somewhere people want to avoid, something like that. Another, I'd say a third area to be looking for properties that you want to get some good profit from would be areas where I forgot what I was going to say here. Let's see. So I think another good one. I can elaborate more on C type, B type properties. Actually, I think that actually might have been my third point. Was not just areas that fit into your niche, but you also can find properties that do have potential to be fixed up, and where you can do what's called a value add, which is simply just adding value. If you oh so I would look online for templates that other people do. Look for a few of them and try to find one that kind of resonates with you and that looks like something you might want to do. Look for ways that you can appraise properties, but look for a simple version. Don't overwhelm yourself if you're just new getting into it. Don't get stuck on numbers or just analyzing too much. Otherwise, you'll get analysis paralysis and you won't actually jump on anything. You want to get something simple that kind of is a good guideline as to what makes money, what doesn't, what type of property to get, what the pricing should be based on how many rooms there are and what size the rooms are, things like that. Get something real simple, and then look for something where it has a value increase that you think you can do in your area based on how the blueprints are in your area. Usually, cities or an entire city will have pretty similar property types of one or two types. In my area, there's if you go a few cities away, then there's still just two property types. There's not a lot of difference there. It looks like the same architect did all of them and just put tiny differences to it. It's really, I think it's a little weird, honestly. But find something where you think some of the properties in your area can have some value added. So if adding one room in your area usually increases rent by like $500, then find a property that has perhaps a dining area that goes where the kitchen that is attached to the kitchen and leads off to a hallway or something, and then where there's a large living room nearby that could be turned into a half kitchen, half dining area, for example. That could be a way to split things up or turn the living room into a dining area if it's a small living room, and then just keep a living room downstairs and just make that area look really nice downstairs so that it's not a big deal or a big problem or that noticeable when people are looking at the place. And then you could turn that dining area into a room. It's not that hard to wall it up, put some drywall up on one side, and you could do it yourself if you looked up how to. Just make sure you don't knock out any studs without being certain that they're not load bearing. Otherwise, you could just have two doors to the room. It's not the classiest, but depending on your area, it might, and like the price range you're looking for, it might suit things just fine. I actually haven't noticed people having a problem with that. I personally think that it's doesn't look the best, but in homes where I haven't gotten around to walling off the other door yet, I haven't had anyone complain, and it still pulls in the money that it should get. But so yeah, if you find kind of a some type of sheet for appraising to figure out the value of a property or how much it can rent for as a good guideline, then it doesn't have to be accurate. It's impossible to be 100% accurate, but just find something that looks good. Make sure your area does make sense for that. If you're not sure what typical properties are like in your area or what pricing usually gets pulled for what's set up, for how many rooms, things like that, then I recommend just looking at what's available on your market and then just setting up some appointments or going to some open houses in the area, and that'll give you a visual for what properties are like in your area if you're not already familiar just from living there. And it will also give you an idea of what some of the pricing is like as well. So if you're concerned, if you're over analyzing, thinking, okay, well, this guide here says that that this some real estate guy on a forum uses a particular appraisal spreadsheet that he made, and it says you'll get 500 more rent per room in your area. Then just look on like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, etc. See what's being posted out there. See if most of the properties that are about the same square footage do actually get 500 more dollars for the rent. And if you don't know the square footage or anything like that, just look up the property address on Zillow to get that info, and it's just really easy math that anyone can do to figure it out. Also, if you're trying to get into real estate, you probably can do math a little bit higher than that as well. So hopefully this information's been simple enough to be helpful for everyone out there who's interested. Have a good night.